Hello, and welcome to the Mommy Escape Time podcast. I am Lauren, your host, and I have a 1-year-old son. I started this podcast for any mother who might feel alone in their journey through motherhood. Becoming a mom is hard no matter how you get there, and this podcast is about the mom stuff that comes up in our lives. Listen, enjoy, and connect with us on the Mommy Escape Time podcast. Hello, and welcome to the Mommy Escape Time podcast. I am Lauren, your host, and it's just me this week. I've really been cutting it close by getting these podcasts up lately, and I have not always been able to have someone with me, so I'm doing this one again on my own. And today I'm really just going to talk about how I push through some of those hard days, because I was really supposed to record this podcast a day earlier and get it up for you guys, and I just had one of those days. And it kind of started with, we went away this past weekend, and I was kind of excited about it because when we go away, you can't get stuff done around the house. And if you own a house or, live on your own, you kind of know that it's a never ending job. There's always something to do. There's always something you can be doing. And it's very hard for me to just let it go or not do things around the house. So going away is very helpful because I can't it's not staring at me all the time that I have to get stuff done. So I was really excited. We went away this weekend. My husband and I got to do a hike, just the two of us, which is something we used to do all the time, almost every weekend. And we started to see some of the leaves change. So that was really exciting. And we just overall had an awesome weekend. And I thought I had really planned so that when we came back, I wouldn't really have to do anything the next day for my son, like to prepare for his breakfast and lunch for school or for daycare. And I had all my stuff ready for school also. You always think the plans are done, and then, you get to real life and it's never like that. So on Tuesday, I went back to work, and when I went to go pick up my son, they said that he had a minor reaction to the food that I had made him for the week, so that I can't send it again this week, which meant that Tuesday I had to not only go grocery shopping to buy new food, but also make new food. And my husband also had if you have a partner or a husband that is really into sports, there was an important sports game on Tuesday night also. So I knew once my son went to bed, we were going to be watching the sports game. So sometimes when my son goes to bed, that's my time to do some of that extra stuff. Like if I have to make him a different meal or make my own lunch for the week or just anything I didn't get to during the day. That's my time. But I knew I didn't have that time on Tuesday. So I had to make sure that I got everything done, which I just literally didn't stop from the second I picked up my son from daycare. We went grocery shopping. I came home. I cooked. I had to make our dinner, and it was just nonstop. And not that my husband wasn't helping me. It's just, even with the two of us working, it just took us till right around the time we put our son to bed, and then the game started. And we were up kind of late watching the game. So then Wednesday I was very tired. And it's hard when you're tired. There is one solution to when you are tired. It's to sleep. And normally that's not the option that any of us have. So I went to work, and we were actually having a blood drive at school that I was working at, and I donated blood that day. And I felt fine, obviously, after I donated the blood. I always make sure to drink tons of water and everything like that. But I donated blood, and I remember I came home that day and I was just exhausted. There was just nothing that could make me feel better. And my husband tried to take my son for a little bit so that I could rest, but it just wasn't working out anyways. And all I kept thinking is, tonight I have to record a podcast, and there is just no way I can do that. So I had to give in and just say, it'll just have to go up a day later. It doesn't matter. And that's it made me think about this book that I read. It's called Memory Making Mom by Jessica Smartt. And I read this book. I've read this book like 3 or 4 times. And there's different chapters and different things that I like about this book. But one of them is how Jessica kind of talks about having these traditions in your family. And our baseball games in our family are our tradition. And I have traditions with just my husband, I have traditions with just my son, and I have traditions for all three of us to follow. And I kind of feel like it was worth me being tired on Wednesday and not recording a podcast, because I did a lot of those traditions and just memory making things with both my husband and my son over those past couple of days, starting with the weekend with the hiking and um, everything, and even cooking food for my son. So even though I was exhausted, and yes, I didn't record a podcast, but again, it's not the end of the world if my podcast doesn't go up. I just find that it's like really, really important to me that I make sure that even when I'm tired, I kind of push through. Like, no one's guaranteed tomorrow. So I try and make the best of what I can each day. And I do the best I can. Every day it's not going to be perfect, and every day I can't do it all. It's definitely not possible. But I try and pick the things that are important to me, and I try and work on that. I I know there was this one baseball game. That's it. And it decided whether or not we were going to have more baseball games or not more baseball games. And it ended up that we were not going to have any more baseball games to watch this year. So it's just kind of our thing for my husband and I, and it's worth not sleeping and staying up late to do those things. And it was worth it for me to obviously go to the grocery store and cook my son new food if he was having I can't even say it's a reaction. It's just that they think he might be having a reaction. So it's just something we have to lay off for a couple of weeks, and then he'll be fine again. So all things that, if if your child is having any type of a reaction to a food, typically everyone's going to be like, oh yeah, I'll take the time to actually make a different food for my child. So, I mean, that was also a very important thing. Um, and it kind of brings me back to when I was packing, even this weekend, to go away for the weekend. I had a special shirt that I had to wear um, for hiking, and there was a special shirt that I had to wear in general this weekend because of baseball. And I keep thinking back to episode 35 when I had Stacy on the show, and she talks about, only keeping the clothes in your closet that you need. And I'm totally shifting gears now on this, just so you know. But I've really been trying to go through my closet, and if it doesn't fit and I don't feel like I just don't want to put this outfit on, and for some reason like I keep passing it up, then I'm trying to get rid of it. And there are two pieces of clothing that I just cannot get rid of, even though I know I would never wear them again because I am just so attached to them. And it kind of brings me back to that Memory Making Mom book. Is I have memories, such good memories with these clothes and wearing these clothes and what these clothes mean to me, that it's so hard for me to let them go. And I've had this pile to donate for, I don't even know, probably a month and a half, maybe 2 months, and I still can't get rid of it no matter what I do. It just sits there. I'm hoping that maybe next week I'll get rid of it. But these two articles of clothing, I just cannot get rid of them no matter what I do. I keep thinking like, okay, no, maybe I'll wear it at this time. And it's hard because living in New England, it's summer, 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 and then you either like gradually go into fall or it like just becomes fall, meaning that it's like 80 degrees and then, then it's 70 some days and then it drops down to 60. It's not one of those years. And typically it's not. Typically it goes from 80 to 40 to 70 to 60 for 2 weeks and then back up to 80 and 90, which is pretty much what happened this year. So now Wednesday, it was almost 90 degrees. And today and the following day it was 50. That's today. Sorry. Um, so 50. So, a nice 40, almost 50-degree change there. Or, 40-degree change, 35-degree change. And so it's hard because you have all these clothes for summer, and like I can kind of get rid of some of them, and now I'm going into the fall. So now I'm like, well, let me hold on to this pile of clothes before I get rid of it, because I'm going to go through all my fall stuff, which then means I'll go through all my winter stuff. So I feel like this pile of clothes might not get donated until the spring at this point because I just can't seem to ever stop adding to that pile. But I have found that getting dressed in the morning is much easier for me. I can figure out what clothes I'm going to wear at the beginning of the week because I know this fits and this fits. And I typically, what I would do is I have 2 dresses and 2 skirts and 1 pair of pants that I'll wear during the week. Now, as it gets colder, sometimes that fluctuates a little more. Sometimes it's more pants than dresses and skirts. And I don't wear as many skirts, I guess, in the winter time because not all of my skirts transfer over to the winter, but most of my dresses can um, through the winter if I have like sweaters and things like that. So, and I don't love wearing pants still because if you have never listened to this podcast before, I broke my leg about a year ago. And yes, my left leg is still swollen. And I'm actually going to post a picture of it because people ask me about it all the time and they don't believe me that my left leg is so swollen. And you definitely can tell in this picture. I'm not doing anything special. I'm literally just sitting on the ground taking a picture of my legs the best I know how. I'm not an Instagrammer, so it's not any like special way I'm doing it with special lighting or anything like that. I literally was fending off my son from jumping into the picture trying to take it. So it looks great, I'm sure. But that's pretty much why I don't wear a lot of pants. It's really hard for me to get pants that fit. I can wear a lot of leggings, but I try not to wear too many leggings always to work. I try and wear, I don't know what you call them, professional pants, I guess. So that's really what I try and focus on. But, anyways, I wanted to get back to how you can get through a week or a day or an hour or a minute that is so hard. And I don't have the answer to it being so hard or like some secret magical thing that you can do. I always just try and put in perspective my life. And I have found lately the people that I follow, specifically, I mostly go on Instagram, sometimes Twitter, and hardly ever Facebook. But on Instagram, I really try and follow people that are going to keep me focused on life and not people that I'm going to compare myself to. And I really try and follow people that are going to make my life, I don't want to say better because that's not a good way to put it, but just that they're good people that say good things when they're on Instagram. So, yesterday when I was on Instagram, one of the people that I follow, Angela Lanter, I'm sure I've talked about her before. She posted about Lindsay's letters, and I don't know if anyone else follows her. Lindsay Letters, sorry. And she is an artist, but her daughter Eva one day was on a golf cart with someone else, and it was a flat road with nothing else, no rocks, no stones, no hills, no anything like that. And all of a sudden, their daughter just fell out of this golf cart and got a traumatic brain injury. And they have been working for almost a year to improve her life back to functioning. And, you know, we all have hard things going on in our lives, and everyone has their own battles that they're fighting. I don't have any battles like this. I am not a mother that is trying to get their child back to who they were before this tragic accident. I am not in the hospital every day. I do not have to go back with, go back in years with my child because of an injury and start helping them to learn to walk, to eat, to breathe, to talk, to bathe themselves, to get dressed, to sit up on their own. I think she's about 7 or 8 years old, Eva. And I mean, mothers and parents like this are just so strong that can help their children start again. And there's no rhyme or reason why this happened to this child or to this family. She didn't have a seizure beforehand. Nothing happened in her body beforehand. It's just she fell out, and this is the result of it. So I always try and keep those types of things in perspective. I also am a special education teacher I'm exposed to so many students that do have needs, and so many students that even are not considered special education students that also have needs. Everyone has their stuff, their baggage that they are dealing with. And I just try and keep that in perspective every day. I'm very lucky. I have my husband and my child, and we are all healthy, happy people. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. All the other things, yes, I could be tired, and yes, I might not get to this, and yes, I might have to do more than someone else. But at the end of the day, my life is very easy. It's not hard. And that's what I try and keep in perspective every day when things get tough, because they do. I mean, there's no way. I remember in the beginning when I first had my child, it was just so hard. And I just remember thinking, I will never get out of this. This is never going to get easier. I'm never going to get the hang of this. This is too hard for me. And I'm never going to get to sleep more than 3 hours in a row. And of course, that's not true. But you're just so tired, you can't get out of it. And I think that, especially after I broke my leg, and I just thought, oh my gosh, my life is just so horrible. And my pity party was gigantic for myself. And it really wasn't. I mean, yes, it was absolutely horrible. And yes, I was in so much pain. And yes, it was unbelievably hard. And it's still hard because it's not over yet. But in comparison to other people, nothing has in my life has been that bad. And there's always going to be someone who's worse off than you. There's always going to be someone who's having it harder. And I just find that if I focus on how can I help them instead of how can I, feel bad for myself, that's my best suggestion that has worked for me. I have a gratitude journal, and I write things down in the morning that I want to, people I want to pray for, or, things that I want to make sure that I focus for the day. So that kind of helps me also. Taryn is sometimes a guest on the show, and she wanted to mention that she has been decreasing her amount of time on social media. She has found that, she just kind of gets sucked into that, and you start feeling bad about yourself, and everyone's doing something great, and how come I don't have any great things to post and things like that. I mean, if you follow me on Instagram, I really don't post that much. I try to post once a month, and that's pushing it sometimes. It's basically because the amount of time it's going to take me to figure out what to post and how to post it and keep up with all the Instagrammers, most of my stuff is going to get lost in your feeds. None of you are going to see it anyways. So I try and post stories once a week, and that's pretty much all I do. And then once a month I'll post something, and that's it. I don't think that anyone is following me to see my great Instagram pictures or anything like that. So I don't know. I just do what I can. My child is more important than me trying to figure out everything on Instagram and put everything up on Instagram. That's why I have a podcast, because I'm not an Instagrammer. I'm a podcaster. So, and knowing your strengths and weaknesses, that's fine. Instagram, not my strength. And it's not something I'm trying to learn or, I want to learn really. It's just a means for me to talk to you guys some more. So that's why stories are normally my preferred method anyways. So those are the two things is when things get tough, I decrease being on social media, and I try and keep in perspective what's really hard in life, and my life is not hard. So I hope those two things help you out, and I hope you all have a great week. And I will talk to you next week on the Mommy Escape Time podcast. Bye.